Okay, good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to my channel. My name is David, if you haven't been here before. Today is Monday, March 23rd. And I know it's been a while since I've done any recording. And that's been because, I gotta straighten up here. That's been because I've had jury duty. Now, I live in Riverside County, and this is actually the first time that I've gotten past the call-in stage. Now, I know most of you all know what jury duty is and how you go about it. Believe it or not, I've been answering those jury summons since I think 74 or 75. So we're looking at 50 plus years. This jury here is the first time that I got past the call-in stage. Believe it or not. All those other, well, there's probably a 10 or 15 year period there where they didn't really know where I was as far as DMV and stuff. Got into some situations where my car wasn't registered and I wasn't registered to vote. Anyway, might not have been 15 years, but it was a long time. So they had a way, they didn't have a way of getting hold of me anyway. So it's not like it's, every other year for 50 years, 25 times. I don't think I've had that many, but I never got past, excuse me, never got past the call-in stage. I did this time, and I didn't get picked to sit on a jury. I got questioned, and this took 5 days to do anything. I went in on a Monday. Luckily, we didn't have to be there early. Well, I didn't have to show up till 12:30. So since I'm retired, as you know, most people, I don't get up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning anymore. So I'm glad I didn't have to be there until 12:30. And it's only 11 miles one way from my house, so I can't complain. Go on surface streets, it takes you maybe 20 minutes, a half hour, depending on traffic. So it doesn't take me long to get there. So I got there at 12:30, and they said that there's more people here than normal because they had to fill two different jury boxes that they're looking for. So there was quite a few of us in there. I would say at least 150 were in the room. And they give you a presentation, they give you a video to watch about what your responsibilities are and what is expected of you. So we had to listen to all of that, which was, like I said, all new to me because I've never gotten that far before. So I was one of 150 or 200 people in that room listening to what our responsibilities were and everything. And then after we listened to all of that, then they told us to go ahead and sit out in front of 2G, because this was on the second floor. So it was a courtroom G, but it was on the second floor, so it's called 2G. So we sat out there for a while. And then they came and they went alphabetically, but they jumped around alphabetically. They didn't go, A through Z. They skipped some people. And they called a bunch of people to go into the courtroom itself. So they went in, and we still sat outside. We were out there till 4:30. They said they can't keep us past 4:30. Well, they took us right up till 4:30. So there was still a bunch of us sitting out there. And they were releasing people, one by one for people because they started with the hardships first. Anybody who had a hardship of some kind, things like your employer would only pay for 1 week of your jury service, and they were looking for 3.5 weeks. I'll tell you about the case here in a minute. But they were looking for 3.5 weeks. So some people got dismissed because their employer would only pay for 1 week or maybe only 2 weeks at the most. So those people all got dismissed. People there was a few business owners, and they said they can't be away from their business 3.5 weeks because they were a small company and they only had 2 or 3, 4 employees at the most. So they couldn't be gone that long. So they got dismissed. So I had no legitimate reason to fill out any forms or raise my hand or anything to say that I can't do my duty and serve. That wasn't the case at all with me. So I had to go ahead and go through everything. But they told us what the case was about, and I didn't really want to hear it. This one had to do with consent under statutory rape for a child molestation case. Now, the only, and I hate to say it this way, the only good part about it was I think the females were 16 and 17, because they had a lot to do, the case had a lot to do with girls or males under 18 can't consent to any sort of sexual activity, which I didn't really know. I don't know if it's a California thing or if that's a United States thing. So when they kind of cleared that up a little bit, I felt a little bit better because I didn't want the girls to be, you always hear these horrible things where the girls are 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I'm glad it wasn't that. I mean, it's bad that they might have gotten under statutory rape. The girls were 15, 16, and 17. That is just better than girls being 8, 9, and 10. That'd be bad. But even though it was still a form of rape, and I do not condone that whatsoever. And with my PTSD, of course, I didn't tell the court that, but with my PTSD, that's a trigger. That's one of my triggers, is hearing about people being raped at any age, whether they're minors or not. That and spousal abuse. Those are my two main triggers because I grew up with spousal abuse a few times in our house. Not to my mom and dad, but to my aunt and her husband. He beat the hell out of her a couple of times at dinner time. And Greg and I, which my brother, we were young. We were, junior high stuff, I didn't want to be around any of that. So that's one of my triggers with PTSD, that and child rape, or rape of any kind. And I couldn't guarantee myself that if I listened to the whole trial and it was going to be a case we're going to find this guy guilty, I couldn't guarantee myself that I wouldn't jump out of that jury box and fly over that table and try to get to the guy myself. So I've never been in that position before, but I didn't want to put myself in that position. But luckily, I didn't have to explain that or go to that with the judge. After a while, because that was on Monday, so we came back on Tuesday, and that's when they started calling up 18 jurors. They needed 12 jurors and 6 alternates. So they would call up the 18 people. And the defense attorney, female, she would question each one for at least, I'm trying not to exaggerate, at least 15, 20 minutes. And they got 18 people to go through. And she did all of hers first before the DA did hers. They were both females in this case. But it took days and days and days to get through these people. So and there's no court on Friday. So it's only 4 days a week. I remember when they used to have night court many, many years ago. I don't see how some of these, I can see now why it takes forever if you're locked up before you even get a chance to go to court. Because they set aside 17 days, 3.5 weeks for this. But they set aside at least a week to get the jurors. In this case, remember, no Friday, so it's 4 days a week. And they don't start until Tuesday. So they only have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So they only have 3 days. So after they set these 18 people, the female jurist, the prosecution, no, the defense, I should know this, but I don't. The defense, she would question each one, ask the same question 3 or 4 different ways before she would get done questioning him. And then the DA would do the same thing, but she only took, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 minutes, I think, to talk to somebody to see if they wanted to keep them on the jury. Then when both of them got done, then that's when the judge asked them if they were going to exempt any jurors. And they don't have to give a reason, which I know from watching TV. They don't have to give a reason. They just said, the judge will we please dismiss juror number 4? They never said for what reason. They said, thank them for their service and can we release juror number 4? So remember, they had 18. So both sides had to dismiss people. Well, the DA, out of those original 18, I don't think she dismissed anybody out of that 18. The defense attorney, she did 7 or 8 people she dismissed. So then, if she dismissed eight out of the 18, they had to call up 8 new people. Okay, I still didn't get called. They called up another 8 people, and this was on Thursday morning. One day we were supposed to be there at 9:30. We got in at 10 o'clock. We barely sat down, and the judge said, I'm sorry, but we have some legal stuff we have to discuss with the 2 attorneys. I will go ahead and dismiss you, and you come back at 1:30. So we were there at 9:30, didn't get seated till 10, and then he only saw us and let us go at 1:30. Told us to come back at 1:30. We were there we sat down maybe 3 minutes. We had to get up and leave. Well, then I drove home because we're looking at 2.5 hours. So I drove home. So that was one of the days that happened. So finally, I got my time on Monday, the following Monday. I got my time. It was late in the afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock, when they called up myself and the guy next to me. They're doing alphabetically. My last name starts with an M, his started with a B. So they went through the M's, and the next one got clear up to him. So anyway, him and I went up, and I was 13, and he was 14. So they interviewed a bunch of people again, all the alternates and some of the jurors, and they dismissed people. And they came on to mine, and they asked me the same. You have to read 7 questions out loud, which included your name, how many children you have, their ages, what do they do, and then if you're retired, what did you retire from? So you have to say that. You have to say, has anybody in your family been charged with a crime? Has anybody in your family ever committed a crime? Has anybody in your family been a victim of a crime? And do you think you could deliberate fairly and without prejudice against race, color, whatever? You had to answer. So there's 7 questions that you had to answer. There's no right way or wrong way. It's basically information that they need to know who you are. So then you answer those questions, and then I got both things. Both people asked me questions. They said, "Well, you answered yes to number 6, and or actually number 8. You answered yes to number 8, and number 8 was, do you know anybody in law enforcement, a close friend or a relative?" And it's my brother. He's retired LAPD. He's actually the one who, and I told us to get that information on record. I gave him a good shout out. He was actually the one in August of 85, who took the last break-in report on Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, an hour before the police caught him. So he was involved in that. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I got that on record from my brother. So anyway, so that was my claim to fame with my brother being on the police. So I said yes, So anyway, then they asked me, and they had dismissed juror number 4. Remember, now it's 13. So the judge told me, okay, juror number 13, go ahead and take number 4's spot. So I went up and took number 4's spot, and that filled everything up. And then that's when the judge said, do we have any challenges? And the TA said, yeah, number 4. And they challenged, so I got sent home. So I only sat in that box, juror's seat number 4, for maybe, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And the DA dismissed me. So that was the extent of it. So I would do it again because I'm retired. I want to hear a case. I want to get in and deliberate, but I just don't want to do it on those two narrow crimes of rape and of spousal abuse. As long as it's not any one of those two, I'll be fine. Okay. Also let you know, this is Riverside County. I don't know what it is in your county or your state, but they only pay $15 a day for jury duty and 34 cents a mile. Well, the guys that are people that are working and their employer pays them for a week or 2 week of jury duty. I know every company's different, but I know they pay more than $15 a day for them who do get money from the juror. I mean, from their employer. So when you're doing jury service in retirement, like I am, and $15 a day. I mean that for the 4 days I did fill up with gas, and I think that barely with this is when gas is high. It's gone up. We're up over $5 here in California, so 5.50 I think. So I filled up, and so all that money just paid for my gas going back and forth to and from court. But that's okay. I mean, at least it paid for my gas. So you don't look to get rich off of it, but when you are retired, that's something to think about. Especially if it's going to be a month or so when you're retired. You have to go back and forth every day, 4 days a week, because you're not being sequestered, because it's not that high profile case. So if you're just being sequestered, not being sequestered, you have to go back and forth. You better think being retired, it's going to take a month or two, and you're only getting $15 a day and 30 cents a mile. And that's kind of rough. So, but I want to do my duty. I'll gladly go the next time. Where I live now, I've lived here for 5 years, and they sent me 3 notices in 5 years. The other 2, same thing, never got past the call-in stage. This one I did, obviously. And so that's how that works here. And I'll put up some information here. The certificate I printed out after I went, and I print out the jury summons. Probably looks like all the rest of them you've ever seen, but I'll include some of those in here so you can see what it looks like. So that's it for right now. Hopefully we'll be back on some kind of a schedule. I'm sorry it took me so long to do this, but I was tied up for 5 days. And during those 5 days outside, it got up to 107 or 108. I just didn't want to deal with the heat and go outside. Today it's pretty cool, but I just decided I'd do it some indoors instead of outdoors. So this has kind of a change of pace. So we might do more indoor stuff also on here. So don't know what the next one's going to be about, but this one is titled Jury Duty in Retirement. So I just wanted to tell you my experience. Put down in the comments if you had an experience similar to mine, or yours was worse, or add whatever you feel is appropriate under that, and I'll be glad. I'll answer any questions or anything that you have. So, excuse me. So that's it for right now. I'll try to do another one tomorrow or the next day to kind of get caught up, because it's been maybe 2 weeks, 17 days or so since I recorded the last time. So let me get kind of back on the groove, and I'll think of another one to record. So that's it for now, and I'll talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.